Hey guys, welcome back to Wells Firewood. Today I'm doing a 2-month review and overview of the 37D Eastonmade. Spoiler, I love this machine. Super fast and powerful. Not really anything bad to say about it. I'm going to jump right into the overview of the machine. Start with the engine on this. Really neat looking little engine. It's a D902 Kubota, 23 horsepower. Little alternator, oil filter, starter. It's a really neat little engine. Got a radiator. Little 3-cylinder. The coolant reservoir makes it real easy to check your oil, or not your oil, your coolant. Speaking of oil, I don't know if you can see that. There it is. It's kind of hard to find the dipstick on this to check the oil, but I think I'm going to paint that dipstick orange or something. Little baby air breather. And that is a massive pump, guys. 37 gallon per minute piston pump. That's a big old pump. Got a hydraulic oil cooler, which is really important if you're running this on hot days or you're running it hours on end. You definitely want the hydraulic system to be cool, not getting hot on you. You get the little panel with the diesel option. I don't use this machine every day. It has 33.7 hours on it. It'll let you know if your battery's low, if you're low on oil, or if you're starting to get hot. It does have glow plugs. You have to wait for the glow plugs to go off before you start it. There's your throttle. Just push that button in, pull it out. Eastonmades come with the heavy duty welded on fenders, which is nice. They're not going to bend or fall off in a month. Massive push block. You got your brass and your wear components. Replaceable, I forget what these are called, replaceable wear pads. I don't think that brass is ever going to wear out. So the Eastonmades come with the sidewind jack and the stabilizer leg setup. You just lower that leg down, you pull that pin out, drop the leg down, lock it in, and then lower the jack so the machine's not rocking around. There's a cylinder for the wedge adjustable height. It's really nice because you don't have pins or bolts, just a floating design. Right now it's fully disengaged, so you can take a tractor or skid steer and lift that wedge out of there. It's a 7-way box wedge in it right now. It just kind of pivots, as you can see. Really nice design. So you got your pullback arm with your box wedge, which makes it really easy. A lot less handling when you have straight wood. I'll get to this a little bit later, but let me know down in the comments how you guys grease your machine. It doesn't have to be an Eastonmade, just machine with a beam like this. I paint grease on there and I grease the fitting. Seems easier to paint grease on this beam to me. Let me know down in the comments if anybody greases their beam with a paintbrush and a tub of grease. That's what I do. Seems pretty easy to me. So, like I said, 7-way box wedge. This backbone is stationary. That's what the wedge pushes up against. You can tow the machine from either side. Switch tongues. Some people say that you don't need to tow a machine from this side, but I disagree because I have a small yard, and if I'm splitting into a trailer on the north side of my property, I need to push the machine in from this side so that I can split into my trailer. Heard a lot of people say that you never need to push or, well, pull a log splitter from this side. I disagree with that. I need to switch sides. Maybe if you have a giant yard, it's not necessary, but I don't have a giant yard. Aluminum catch pan. You have an option to get a bigger catch pan. In my opinion, this one's not long enough. I wish it was longer. Like I said, you have an option to get a 20-inch longer catch pan. And if you guys haven't checked out Eastonmade's website, they just updated it. Eastonmadewoodsplitters.com. They have 11 different log splitters to choose from. So it's, no matter what your budget is, there's something for you. Now granted, these are commercial machines. They're not cheap, but they're not built cheap, so they're not going to be cheap. Every log splitter except for the Ultra comes with a log lift. So there's the floating design. Log lift comes down onto the wheel, and that's to keep from somebody from smashing their foot or bending something if there's a log underneath of it. Makes it a lot safer, in my opinion. It's a really smart design. I said heavy duty welded on fenders. You can get a better appreciation for the size of this push block. That's a massive piece of steel. That is a big bore cylinder. 4.5-inch bore, 3.5-inch rod. 37-ton cylinder with a 5-second cycle time. That's fast for a 37-ton splitter. Full auto cycle. Press both of these at the same time. Goes down and back on its own, which is really nice. So you can handle logs and be working while the machine is working. Has a log lift and a wedge lift. The log lift doesn't go too much past level. It's kind of as a safety. Some of them go way up in the air. kind of catapult logs over the neighbor's fence, but it works well once you learn how to use the lever, so it's not jerky, you know. A hydraulic pressure gauge. That's a massive valve block right there. Look at that thing. $25-gallon hydraulic tank, end tank filter. Has a sight gauge, temperature gauge. Makes it real easy to check your fluid, keep an eye on it. Diesel tank, a little sight gauge on the side. I don't know exactly how much it holds. It doesn't seem to hold too much, 5 gallons or something like that. Like I mentioned earlier, you can tow the machine from either side. Just pull the pin out. Comes with a 2-inch ball setup. Machines are built on a H-beam, super heavy duty. This machine is not light. It's 2,600 pounds. If you got a couple of guys on asphalt or concrete, you can turn the machine around if you need to turn in a different direction, but I wouldn't go trying to move it around too much without a tractor or skid steer or truck. There's a little battery tucked in there. It's secured to the frame with a bolt. So just a really awesome little splitter, guys. So I'm going to go over a few things, minor things that have broke or come loose on me. These bolts here came loose on me. Just popped it with an impact gun. Just something to keep an eye on. I think one side, I don't know that the one side was too loose, but one side was kind of loose. I did bend the pin about the first week on the pullback arm. I just took it off and put a bolt with a lock nut on it. So they say that you can bend your pullback arm. Well, I've done it. Can't really see it. Maybe you can, sort of. Right there where that gusset stops is where it was bent. Jimmy, heck of a feller, put it on his press for me, bent it back, good as new. Basically what that was super hard Australian pine that wasn't straight, kind of looked straight but wasn't. Got stuck in the wedge and the pullback arm slammed back into it. It was stuck really good and it bent the arm. Basically bent right here outside of the gusset where the bracing stops, basically. If you bend your pullback arm, don't heat it up. Put it on a press, block it up on a press, bend it back. But you got to use your head when you're using a box wedge. You know how your wood splits, so don't chance it. If it's gnarly in a box wedge, you're going to bend something. What I did, I shouldn't have done it. I know now. Don't do this if you bend your box wedge or your pullback arm, I mean. I'm sure you guys probably won't, but I thought I was smart. I put a chain around the push block here, and I hooked, well, this was off, but I hooked a chain onto the end and put a binder in here. Well, all I did was make the problem worse, because all I did was bend the round stock that goes through the push plate. So I just made the problem worse. Had to bend both sides on the press instead of one. That's not gonna work, guys. Don't do that. Take it out, put it on a press. If you know somebody that has a press, or if you have one, great. It's just something I want to share with you guys. Another minor thing that happened is this pin, the little T that holds it to the spring fell out. I don't know exactly what happened. The guys that were working for me were switching the tongue side and the little tab fell out. Not a big deal. I took and drilled a hole in a pin I had laying around, put a pin in it. I guess I left the spring in there to look cool. It's a minor thing that happened. Other thing that was kind of odd to me, I thought about 30 hours, the rain cap exhaust flap just broke off. I mean, that's kind of strange for 30 hours. It's kind of flimsy. I picked one up at Tractor Supply for $11. So, just something to share with you guys. Let me know down in the comments if any of these things have broke on your machine. I'll show you. So first of all, this is my paintbrush, tub of grease. Seems pretty easy to grease the beam like that. This is the pin for the pullback arm. It's been about a week into it. I lost the keeper that goes over it pretty quick. Probably not the best pin for the pullback arm. This is the pin for the hitch on the front side. That little T came out of there. I can put something back in there so I can use the spring again. Rain cap. Pretty cheap, thin metal. Came on there. Not a big deal. Just put a new one on there. So anyways, little overview on the machine. I love the machine. It's super strong and super fast, like I said earlier. If you guys are looking into a commercial machine, do your homework. Look at what you're getting versus what you're paying. The Eastonmade splitters are pretty hard to beat, depending on where you're located. They're in Canada, so I'm all the way down here in Florida, so it was a pretty hefty delivery fee. But as you can imagine, fuel nowadays, that's a long ways to haul a machine around. But look at the different commercial companies that make splitters and weigh your options. If you split hard splitting wood, don't buy a smaller machine with less tonnage if you can afford it. I split a lot of live oak and Australian pine, and that stuff is hard. You need something with more power to get through it. The diesel option is not for everybody. It's expensive. but it's something to look into. The 2228 is about the same as this, except for it has a gas motor and a smaller pump. But it's 37 ton also. The 2228 is 37 ton. So it's also an awesome splitter, which guys think I'm crazy, but I would also like to get a 2228 if possible to accompany this. We have 2 guys splitting. Like I said, a lot of the wood that I split is hard splitting, so if I get a guy on each machine, you know, when it comes down to having to use a 4-way or a 6-way, it's gonna really slow down production. Ultimately, having 2 of these would be a really wise investment. I don't plan on getting out of the firewood business anytime soon. So yeah, let me know down in the comments how you guys grease your beam. And you know, like I said, go on their website, eastonmadewoodsplitters.com. Look at all the splitters. They have 11 different splitters for everybody's price range. Don't fall off the couch when you see the prices. These are commercial splitters. It's not your grandpa's splitter. These are heavy duty machines. Anyway guys, just a little review on the Eastonmade 37D. If you like what we do, give us a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one. Woo!